Happy New Year, Small Gains family. Welcome back to another episode of the Small Gains podcast. Episode 83 today. I wonder what I'll do for 100. Also, how many times have I probably said that already? I hope you all had a good break over the festive period. Whatever you did, however you celebrate. It's a pretty low-key time of year for me. It's not my favorite time of the year. You probably all know that by now. I've been having a pretty rough start to the year, if I'm honest. My first day back at work actually ended up being a funeral. I've got another funeral this Sunday. A couple of days ago, I unfortunately got a really devastating email about my plans to try and move. Everything kind of fell through, and I've got a week to try and find a solution, which is pretty much impossible. And without oversharing on the podcast, I'm gutted about it. I've been trying to move for quite a long time, and I really thought we were getting close. But sadly, someone in the chain of trying to move dropped out. And if someone else doesn't come and live in my place by next Friday, it means I'm going to lose the place that I'm hoping to move into next month. And yeah, that makes me very sad. It's hard to take. Another couple of weird, unlucky inconveniences, like a £600 vet bill for Aubrey with a heart condition, got denied by my insurance. So we have sent some firm emails this week. We cried a lot, mourned a lot last week. And you know what? Getting back into routine and work has really, really helped me keep going. Getting started back at work, going through all my clients' end of year reviews and their goal setting for this year, it gave me the most amazing boost. And just being back to my usual setup of being at home, dog walks, training, everyday work things has honestly been a really great staple, as has watching Traitors every night. If you're in the UK, the new season of Traitors, it started kind of slow, and I feel like it was too close after the celebrity one, and that one was so good that nothing was going to hit the same as that. But you know what? It got good. I am up to date. When I'm recording this, it's Thursday, the 15th of January, so I'm not going to say any spoilers, but oh my God, the drama. Yep, 100% all for it. It is getting ruthless. So if you are watching Traitors, please slide into my DMs to discuss, because whew, it's getting heated out there. I also have a race coming up in 6 days. I am doing my first High Rocks Pro. I've done High Rocks before. I've done a doubles, and I was meant to do the open until I broke my ankle, as you all know. We're doing the pro weights this time, and that means my race is on Wednesday, so I don't have to race on a weekend when it's super, super busy and overstimulating. It's still going to be busy and overstimulating, but the fact that it's on a Wednesday afternoon, fingers crossed that the course is going to be a little less busy as usual. I've got my final full big workout on Friday. I'm going to do it tomorrow night because obviously January gyms are busy. And yeah, on Wednesday we raced, and I'm just feeling excited. I'm trying to get good sleep, manage the stress, and not really doing anything differently. And I'm excited to have a bash at it. It's going to be fun. So despite the sad things, the logistical nightmare things, I'm actually feeling pretty good. Lots to be grateful for, lots to be happy about, you know. So I hope your start to the year has been a little less rocky than mine. But also, if it has, that's totally fine. The way a lot of my clients have navigated the start of the year, it's been like completely different. Some of them are just gunning for it, they're getting it. Some of them are having a more gentle, soft, slower start to the year. And today I just wanted to talk about a lot of the things that have been coming up that I think would be really helpful for everyone. So I'm going to share 3 different mindset shifts that have really helped me and have helped a lot of my clients, and that I've talked about with a lot of my clients this week, that help us tackle things like consistency, procrastination, low motivation, the feeling of struggling to get started, that kind of executive dysfunction where you're like, I just can't do the thing. I know I just have to do the thing and I'll feel better, but I can't. And these are all things that would make us talk quite nasty to ourselves at times. They're things that could make us call ourselves lazy or tell ourselves that we're not being strict enough with ourselves, or that we're not being disciplined enough, but actually we maybe just want to rearrange and reframe a lot of our expectations in terms of what we want for ourselves. And this doesn't necessarily need to apply to just our training. It can also apply to our creative life, our work life, even just tasks around the house that we're struggling to get done or stay consistent with. While we're recording this podcast, I forced myself to put a wash in because I knew it would be ready after I was recording it. And I was like, put the wash in, do the podcast. The podcast is the fun bit, do the nasty bit of putting the washing away afterwards. And there's so many different ways that we can almost like trick ourselves or gamify something to make it feel a bit more easy and attainable for us. And that isn't a negative thing, especially for neurodivergent people. We need all the creative ideas we can get. I was talking to one of my people that is self-employed, and a few of my clients are self-employed, and we talk about that a lot alongside their training, because when you're running a business and trying to fit everything in, including your personal life and your social life, it does get really hard to keep up that consistency. It does get really hard to get started on any of your tasks when it feels like you have a lot going on. And I guess this goes for people that aren't self-employed as well, but generally day to day for self-employed people, the workload never stops because you are your business. And I think in January, when the theme of everything we see in the media, social media, mainstream media, is start again, do this really well, learn this really good habit, get in shape, go run a marathon, start training for something big, it can just feel really overwhelming. And then all of a sudden we're just resistant to doing anything because it's hard. And when our brains are busy, it's almost like you don't know where to start. And I think sometimes we can put such strict rules on ourselves about trying to maintain a routine and have that routine be the same all the time. But for a lot of us, that doesn't always work, especially neurodivergent people. Having a strict routine that we could do for 3 months, we could put it in the bin on the 4th month and just never touch it again for the rest of our life. It's okay to change things up, and it's okay to do lots of things differently every week. It's okay to train on different days. Some people will train on the same days like clockwork, and that will work perfectly. Myself, I tend to move things around. It's very much to do with my workload, my mental capacity, and sometimes it can purely just be due to procrastination. It's real easy to procrastinate on a big task or a workout and push it and push it and push it until you're running out of time to do it before your next block of workouts for the next week gets put in by your coach. I know my clients will understand that, and I understand that from working with my coach. And we'll almost let the pressure build up throughout the week, and then we'll either do it because we put so much pressure on ourselves, or we'll put it in the bin because it feels so overwhelming. And I guess the idea is that we just really don't want to end up feeling like this is how we live our life. So when I'm mapping things out for people and when I'm helping people tackle their resistance to getting started, their lack of consistency, low motivation, or just procrastinating on doing the thing, there's 3 things that have really helped me and that have helped a lot of my people. And that's what we're going to get into. Wow, that was a long intro. I hadn't planned for it to be that long, but we're on Thursday and I've very much been held up either in my studio in the gym all week. So I've probably got a lot to yap about out loud, really. Before we get started on the first mindset reframe, there was something that was said on a podcast I listened to recently that I really liked and wanted to share with you. Ben Carpenter and Sohi Carpenter, some of you might follow either of them on Instagram. They're a very wholesome, lovely couple. Ben Carpenter does a lot of fitness and nutrition advice and myth busting. That's a hard word to say. They also make a lot of content as a couple. They recently started a podcast. They're covering all things health, wellness, and fitness. And it's super, super refreshing, really well researched and considered. I can't get enough of them. And they said on their New Year's resolutions podcast, they used the prompt, on your lowest motivation days, are you still prepared to do the thing that you want to do? And when it comes to training goals or nutrition goals, this is a really good prompt, because if something is important to you, on the hardest days that you have, would you still be prepared to do that, even if it was just a little bit of it, even if it was just a variation of it, a scaling option? Would it still bring you joy, and are you still prepared to do that thing? even when the motivation has gone, it's disappeared? And if so, what is the bare minimum baseline for that thing when it comes to fitness, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to productivity in life? So on my lowest of motivation days, I'm not going to be sacking off any work that's to do with my team. I will always be prepared to do that. It will always bring me joy. I will always be updating their workout programming and doing their check-ins. Will I be making free content that goes on Instagram or TikTok on my lowest of motivation days? Maybe not. And that's where the line kind of falls for me. I have everything that I know is important, and on my hardest of days, I get it done. Anything to do with my client work, anything to do with my training, anything to do with Aubrey and looking after her. But on the days where I have a little more to give, that's when I'm going to be able to get into making free resources or free content or doing little extra things. But we have that baseline. And it's the same with training. My baseline is 4 sessions a week. On the weeks where I have more to give or more time, I'll do more. But on those lowest of the lows, the bare minimum I am prepared to do is full sessions. And they might not be the sessions that my coach has planned for me, but I'm prepared to do them because they make me feel good and I want to. All right, longest intro ever. Let's do the thing. First little mindset tool. Have you ever heard of the saying, eat the frog? I think a lot of people will have, but they won't know where it comes from. So I'm going to give you the backstory because I think it's just like interesting to know. So eat the frog is almost like a time management strategy in a sense, and it's wrongly attributed to this guy called Mark Twain, who always said it. And he's taken this quote and said, eat a live toad first thing in the morning and nothing worse will happen for the rest of the day. The idea being that you do something real nasty at the start of the day and everything else will feel better, right? But actually, he nicked it from someone else. As always, someone always nicks something and makes money off it when someone else says it or does it or makes it, right? Where the phrase actually come from, I learned it was in 1790, and it was a French writer called, I hope I don't butcher this, Nicholas Chamfort, and he was speaking to someone and telling them to eat their frog. And so Mark Twain nicked that quote because he loved it and he ran with it. And then another author, Brian Tracy, also stole the concept and wrote a book called Eat That Frog. And his book was about focusing on overcoming procrastination and improving your productivity. I have not read any of these books. However, Eat the Frog is something that I regularly do week on week. And I have ran with that and created my own version of it. Now, the principle of eating the frog is tackling the hardest or the most important thing first thing in the day. So you get it out of the way and then it all feels like it's downhill from there. So this could be a training session, but it also could be something really hard at work, a really hard thing you got to do. Or it could just be something that you find hard to complete. So you do it first and you get it out of the way. In my eyes, it's never the nastiest or the most unpleasant task. It's maybe the one that might take the longest or that feels the most intense or that takes a lot of energy. And again, if we send this all out to our neurodivergent family, it's not always going to be a task that's horrible. It just might be something that we find it hard to get started with or take action on. And I was trying to think what the small gains version of this would be. If I was going to make my version of this to instill in you lot, what would it be? And when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about what is my frog? What's like one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life? And you know what? One of the hardest things I've probably ever done is train for and run a marathon. In terms of mindset and physicality, that is the hardest thing I've put my body through. And that's the strongest that my mindset has had to be when it comes to showing up for myself repeatedly over a year. And then when I was thinking about the marathon, I thought, what do you do on the day that you run your marathon? All you do is you get ready, you fuel, you travel, and then you go and run your marathon. And then I was like, running a marathon is just never the second thing that anyone does with their day. Very few people get up, do a day of work, and then go and run a marathon. And when I say a marathon, I mean like a race. Because obviously there are superhuman athletes, trail runners, endurance runners that will do a day of work and then go and run a marathon because they actually train for an 100K race. So their frog would be an 100K race, you know? But my version of eating your frog is run your marathon first. Prioritize your most impactful, important, challenging, capacity, energy needed thing first. When I ran that marathon, that was the first thing on my to-do list. So if you're a person that struggles to take action or just start your workout, whether it's the gym or whether you train at home, that's going to be your marathon. And what can be a really good idea if you struggle to get started on a session, you struggle to go on your lunch break, you struggle to go after work, you want to eat your frog, run your marathon first, and you want to get it out the way. At this time of year, it's real hard to get up in the morning, especially in the UK. It's cold as hell. If you walk to your gym or cycle and don't necessarily drive, it's going to feel even harder. However, it's going to feel very rewarding afterwards. So our first little mindset tool for consistency, for getting started, for taking action, run your marathon first, eat your frog. It's going to be rewarding. And if it's important to you and it's something that you continue to skip, just do it first, get it done, get it ticked off. Sometimes you might sleep in through the alarm. That's okay. Aim to be imperfect with that. We'll talk about that in a minute. Run your marathon first. Next up is a prompt that I have used for a lot of people, including myself, that are struggling to get started because they're thinking too much about a training session or an outcome as a whole. They've got a 50-minute session ahead of them or, you know, a 6K run, and all they can think about is, I don't have the capacity to do that. I can't do that. I don't feel like I even know how I can get started with that, with how I feel right now. So they'll procrastinate, they'll skip it, then they'll skip it every week, then they'll be mad because they really want to try. And it's not that they're lazy. It's not that they don't want it enough. They just don't have that motivation to get started. And it's really normal to not have the motivation to get started. We're a couple of weeks into January, all the new year motivation has probably worn off. And it's really easy to be like, you can't rely on motivation. That is true. You absolutely can't. It's a flaky best mate. We've had that conversation before. But when you're thinking about the 6K, you're thinking about doing all of it. When you're thinking about going to the gym and doing a 50-minute workout, you're thinking about all the exercises you've got to do. And that's the bit that we want to reframe with the prompt, can I do 5 minutes? When you are struggling to take action, probably the worst thing that we can do is tell ourselves that something needs to be perfect. And you probably don't even think you're telling yourself you need to be perfect, but you might be telling yourself you need to complete a full workout as it's written. You want to do the full workout because that's what you want to do. However, when you're not having the best day or you're struggling to take action, that is going to feel so daunting. But if you ask yourself, do I have the capacity to do 5 minutes? Can I just put my running shoes on and start for 5 minutes? Because you know what? That counts. If you're not feeling good and you can't tell whether you should try and work out, you're procrastinating, you've got decision fatigue, you don't know if you're tired, you don't know if you're hungry, you don't know if you need a snack, you don't know if you need to wrap up in a blanket and just forget about the world, just ask yourself, could I do 5 minutes? Am I capable and do I have the capacity to just smash out 5 minutes right now? If the answer is no, then maybe you're taking a rest day, maybe you are rescheduling that session. That's cool. But if you are honest with yourself and say, do I have the capacity to do 5 minutes, yes or no? No, you're not going to do it. Yes, then just get started. If you drive to the gym and do 5 minutes, 80% of the time, that might result in a full workout. The rest of the time, it might actually only result in 5 minutes. It might result in you doing your first 2 exercises and being like, you know what, I did 5 minutes and I'm not feeling it. I'm going to leave it there. But that isn't a wasted gym journey. You haven't failed. It's not a waste of time because you showed up for yourself and that still counts. Whatever you did in that 5 minutes counts. Volume accumulation over time. It's not a failure because you wanted to do that thing. You showed up and you tried and you weren't feeling it, and that is 100% okay. And you can be nasty to yourself about that, or you can be nice to yourself about that. But the outcome is the same. You did 5 minutes, celebrate that as a win, start again the next day. Can I do 5 minutes today? Hell yes, I can. Go and do 5 minutes. Oh, you've done a full workout. Show up again the next day. Can I do 5 minutes? No, I can't do 5 minutes. I've literally not got the capacity to do 5 minutes. Okay, cool. Rest day today. And that tiny prompt and those very small efforts of showing up imperfectly and not necessarily doing the thing that you wanted to do, but doing the thing that felt right for you to do is going to lead to doing way more than you expected. And it's going to lead to your consistency over time. So just commit to 5 minutes. And this doesn't just need to be with training. I actually do it for everything. If I've got a really boring task that I do not want to do, like life admin, filling in a form, something that gives me 0 dopamine, or maybe I need to send an email about council tax, I'm probably going to put that at the start of my day. That's going to be my marathon. So I'm going to run the marathon, eat the frog, and do it first. But if it takes 10 minutes, I'm going to ask myself, do I have the capacity to just do 5 minutes of this? If no, then maybe it's tomorrow if it's not deadlined. If the answer is yes, I'm starting that thing, I'm running the marathon, I'm eating the frog, and I'm doing 5 minutes, and the chances are I'm probably going to get it finished. Auto-regulation, scaling workouts, giving your body the workout it needs as opposed to the one that is written in your program is so important. One of the biggest things I talk about with so many of my lot is, I've written you this workout, but you're the boss. You can go in and you can do 2 sets of everything instead of 3. You can do all of your compound movements, but not do any of your accessories. You can go in and do 10 minutes. You can go in and do a fuck about session and throw my programming out the window. Because what's important is that you're showing up and working on the thing that's important to you, regardless of motivation, procrastination, decision fatigue, inability to take action. Can you do 5 minutes? And then my last little mindset shift is to cruise at an average of a C grade. And I struggled how to word this, but let me try and talk you through it. When we're at school and college, obviously an A+, an A+, an A*, that's the best mark, right? So we're really encouraged to aim high for that, especially when we did exams at school in the UK, GCSEs, A-levels, or when we're, at college, university, and a first is the best grade, right? So you want to get the best grade. However, when it comes to things like fitness, productivity, habits, if you can't get an A and you continue to not be able to get an A, you're getting really frustrated at yourself. And because we're not at school, you don't have to do it because we're adults, we have agency. I'm not doing the gym perfectly every day, so I don't have to do it. Maybe I don't want to do it because I'm not doing it perfectly. But there is so much power that can come from lowering the bar and just being really fucking average. And when I say be more average, that actually doesn't sound very positive, but I was never an A grade student, as you might have guessed, but that's never mattered at any point in my life. When we think about strength and running and hybrid training, we're not A* runners or A* lifters. We're average at everything and we enjoy it. And we don't mind being average at it because it allows us to lift and run. If we only did squats, maybe we would be an A+ student at squats. But we like to do loads of different lifts. We like to run. We like to mix it up, different modalities. We maybe like to do sports as well on the side. So we are average, and that's okay. We might even be worse than average when we do loads of things. People always joke that CrossFitters or hybrid athletes are just below average at everything because we mix loads of things all together. Apologies for lumping CrossFit and hybrid together, but I'm pretty sure no one's going to come at me for that in my audience anyway. But we ride at a C grade and we have a really nice time. And when we think about consistency, if you're going to show up and be an A+ student in the gym once a month, but for the other 29 or 30 days of the month, you're an F or you're a U. I think it's a U if you don't show up at all, right? What good is that for your long-term health? If you cruise at a C grade for the entire month, which might mean skipping a couple of workouts, scaling a couple of workouts, not quite doing everything in your program, but getting a lot of it done. If you cruise at that C grade for the rest of your life, you're not going to have these peaks and troughs of being an A grade student once a month and then getting 12 A's in a year instead of cruising at a C and getting like 300 C's a year. I feel like I'm really going to town on this one, but get great at being bang average all the time. Cruise at that C grade, because that C grade technically means the standard you are holding for yourself isn't as high as an A, but you can do it more. It's more sustainable. So final little mindset shift and prompt, aim for a C average, not an A. All right. So those are 3 of the things that I have been mostly talking about with all of my people after reading all their end of year reviews and speaking about inability to take action, procrastination, decision fatigue, low motivation, consistency, wanting more consistency. So here are your actionable steps that I want you to take away from this podcast after I have just yapped in all sorts of tangents and directions about it. Firstly, run your marathon first. Pick your one big task for the day, do it first thing. Might be a training session, might be a really rubbish work task, might be an admin thing. It might just be emptying the dishwasher or washing the dishes if you find that really hard. When it comes to training, if you procrastinate on your training all week, do it first. Run your marathon first. Smash that gym session in the morning. You're going to feel awesome afterwards. Everything else is going to slot into place after that and feel a little easier because the challenging thing that you struggle to take action on is being done first. Next up, when you're unsure about how to get started or if you should get started, ask yourself, can I do 5 minutes? Do I have the capacity to just do 5 minutes? If the answer is yes, give it a go. If the answer is yes, then we're doing 5 minutes, seeing what happens. If the answer is no, I have no capacity to do 5 minutes, then we're either doing something else or we're rescheduling that thing to another day. None of that is failure. And finally, maintain a C average as a student of training, not an A. Cruise at that C average, have a lovely time. Don't try to have a perfect scorecard of workouts every week of your life. It literally isn't possible. Small, imperfect actions compound over time. Cruising at a C average is not failure. Doing 5 minutes instead of an hour isn't failure. And this is why I am so big on all of the people that I work with shouting out their wins every week, even if their win is the fact that they just got out of bed. For some people, it might be running a race, getting a squat PB, meal prepping. For some people, some weeks, it's literally just going to be making it to work, getting out for a walk, and it all counts. So Small Gains family, this has been a really enjoyable thing for me to talk about. I really hope it's been helpful. 3 mindset shifts to take into your 2026. I would love it if you use one of these prompts this week. If you run your marathon, eat your frog, if you use the do 5 minutes prompt, if you finally tell yourself a C average is fine when you're like, oh no, but I can't do that perfectly, so I won't do it at all. I want to know about it. So please share any of your 5 minute or C grade moments or running your marathon, eating your frog moments with me after listening to this podcast in the comments, on Instagram, all of the usual places that you find me. And I hope you all have an awesome start to your year. If you are in a place right now where you feel like you have just struggled to get started, it has felt overwhelming, and whilst you feel like you have really wanted to make a move on your fitness, but it just hasn't happened yet, I would love to help you. Hopefully I've helped you already if you've got this far with all these prompts, but I have plenty of programs which you could literally sign up for today, and you could be in that gym, running your marathon, eating your frog, doing your 5 minutes, cruising at your C average tomorrow. So if you need a program that will take the guesswork out and make it as easy as possible for you to get into the gym, my workout program app Superhuman has so many programs on it for all different abilities. We've got a hybrid training program for beginner lifters and runners. We've got a beginner mask program, an intermediate mask program. We've got a push-up progression program. And my newest one is my program Rise, which is the all singing, all dancing, only ever beginner program. Anybody that wants to be competent at lifting weights with a good cardio engine will ever need. I honestly have gone to town on it, and I am just so proud of the way that I have managed to roll it out. It's designed to take you from absolute zero, never stepped into a gym or done a home workout in your life, picking up a dumbbell for the first time, learning how to read workout programming, figuring out fitness jargon, and eventually becoming an empowered, confident person that lifts weights and has a good cardio engine, strong as hell, but also looking after long-term health. So that's my beginner program, Rise. If you want to give it a go, and the cool thing about Superhuman is you can rotate through all the programs, pause, resume, chop and change as much as you like. It's 19 quid a month, and I will put a 50% off code in the comments of the podcast, because if you've got this far, you deserve to try it for a month, half price, and see how you like it. Have an amazing rest of your week, everyone. That is me out. Keep chasing the small gains. Love you.